Welcome back to the Comfy Seats. This is part 2 of my chat with James Blair from Pavelka. His full introduction can be heard at the start of part 1 if you missed it. Right now, we're focusing on how to make sure your hard work doesn't go unnoticed when you're working from home.
Something I was taught by my leaders at Pavelka, actually. Because I came from education, I had no idea about this kind of concept. They said, have you thought about managing upwards? And I said, yeah, sounds really interesting. Great, I'll look at that. And then immediately Googling it, what the hell does that mean? But the idea that rather than waiting for someone to tell you you're doing something or you've done something, tell them. So like have a spreadsheet that you share with the higher ups in your organization, with your leaders, that says, these are the tasks I'm working on this week. This is when they're getting done. If you want to see it, I'll drop a link to the final document at the end here. So at any stage, they can see exactly where you are with your tasks of the week. You don't need to be caught up in this horrible like song and dance about working. Potentially, it could be that somebody's work doesn't necessitate that sort of measure, but a conversation, a phone call, like just taking initiative and saying, this is where I am, this is what's happening. And then hopefully, you know that because you've had that conversation, you don't need the performance or to at least worry about it further down the line.
But I mean, what would because I think a lot of people would struggle with that insofar as they'll feel like they're bragging. You know, I think particularly us Brits, we seem to have this tendency to go, if it's good enough, someone will notice. Kind of, we have that kind of attitude towards everything. And I think this plays to people's discomfort with that because, they do look at it and go, well, I'd love to be able to, just because here's the other thing. I guess everything has a certain certain formality to it. Whereas at work, you could just pop into someone's office and just go, have you got a second? And that was casual. That seemed kind of, okay, it's impromptu. It's just casual. I was just passing. So I thought I'd say X, Y, and Z. Whereas now it's a case of, I'd like to arrange a Zoom call or a Teams call or whatever it is at this time, blah, blah, blah. And you think, it's formal. And now I'm formally arranging a time, particularly for those people who are more senior and they think, well, the person above me, it's busy trying to run the universe. And here's me going, can I just take 5 minutes of your time so I can tell you everything I've done? Fab. And it's really, people are struggling to find this balance. How do I do this? How do I communicate this so that it still feels casual? And it doesn't feel as though I'm just taking time out of this person's day, stealing their time to talk about me. How do they overcome that?
What an amazing question.
And by amazing, you really mean don't drop me in it. I've just really put you on the spot. Apologies for
ideas. What really grabbed me from that bit there was when you started talking about us here in the UK and what strange little performative creatures we are in this part of the world. My partner's mother, she's from the Middle East. So like when I first met her, like she just seemed to be this whirlwind of emotions and statements that just sort of came at you. But then she then said something to me that was like, that really cut to the heart of it. She said, you're so weird in this country. No one ever says what they mean and everyone's supposed to read everyone else's minds. And,
oh God.
And that's so exactly true. It. Yeah. The whole kind of stiff upper lip, being proper in public kind of thing, obsession with the right way of acting in any given situation can really hold us back and lead to so much anxiety. So as you said, like, I'm going to produce this bit of work, this report or whatever I'm doing is going to be so good that everyone will notice and I'm never going to show anybody.
Exactly.
Because I am not that person. And I really struggle with this. In my free time, I'm like eyeball deep in creative hobbies, so like music, writing and stuff like that. But nobody knows because I never show anyone. I never like tell anybody. And if anybody even brings it up, I go really red-faced and I like exit the conversation in the politest and quietest way possible.
Oh God, I'll try not to bring it up then. I don't want to have you suddenly end.
So when I was looking at putting this stuff in place, I am mortally embarrassed about talking about my work. I do want everybody to appreciate and love what I do, but I cannot listen to people talking about how good it is. So I can't be a part of that conversation. So I went for the most boring and boilerplate version I could think of. I set up what I mentioned earlier. I've got like a Google sheet. It is black and white. Everything is in the same font size. It is the most boring laid out table in the world, but it's got all of that information. So the projects that I'm working on are all listed next to them, who I'm working with, what I'm doing. So I never even have to have the conversation, and it is the least flashy thing in the world. It just exists. It is like it's kind of like a news report of what I'm doing, but like a BBC version, not like a Sky or a Fox News version with there's no graphics or explosions or music. Like, here is a thing that happened, here is another thing that happened.
That's amazing. I love that even the format of what you've put out there is understated. This is British layout through and through. I love that. I mean, it's an area that we could discuss at a later date. It's a whole other topic, and I think it's a really good one to discuss, which is because obviously there will come a point, say if you're aiming for a promotion or you're looking to, climb the ladder or whatever, and you want people to notice you, then you've got to go over and above, because you've got to somehow get what you're doing across in a way that drowns out all the other people who have no problem with shouting about it, going, look, my shoes are really well buffed, let me show you in a Zoom call. There are some people who are perfectly comfortable with all of that stuff, and you've got to somehow try and maneuver to get, to show what you're able to do without it coming across as bragging, and without it being overboard and backfiring and blowing up in your face. But yeah, that's a whole other subject, something perhaps to talk about at a later date. But yes, I love that idea. So just to polish off that tip, essentially get something in place that if your boss wants to check in on you and wants to see what you've done, they have the link, and you can remind them of that link every now and again, and just say, just so you know, the updates are all in here, this is what I've been up to, that kind of thing.
That is exactly it. Everybody gets at the end of the week, again, like a boring like boilerplate email, latest update of my project plan, link,
done,
kind regards.
Excellent, I love that. That was part 2. Coming up in part 3, we talk about how to stay social and not get lonely when you're working from home. Make sure you watch it, and if you're liking what you're hearing, please do hit subscribe.